Episode 8 of House of the Dragon is about power, control, and the cost of winning a war. Rhaenyra begins the episode worried about Aegon's survival, but her response to that threat pushes her further toward the kind of ruler she once feared becoming. At the same time, the battle at Tumbleton shows how quickly a war can become impossible to control once dragons are involved. The episode also brings several characters to a breaking point. Daemon has to face the destruction caused by his choices. Aegon gets another chance to fight. Aemond becomes more dependent on Alys, and Helaena becomes one of the clearest victims of the struggle for the throne. The episode begins with Rhaenyra learning that Aegon and Sunfire are alive. This immediately threatens her position because Aegon's supporters can now use his survival as proof that he was meant to rule. Daemon tries to calm her down by reminding her that dragons don't care about people's opinions, but Rhaenyra understands that the people of Westeros do care. If enough people believe Aegon has been chosen by fate, his claim could become a serious threat. Rhaenyra responds by ordering Daemon to search Tumbleton for Hightower supporters and kill them. However, she also tells him not to make a monster out of her. This shows that she still wants to see herself as a good and reasonable ruler, even while ordering extreme violence. This creates one of the episode's main conflicts. Rhaenyra wants to protect her claim without becoming cruel, but she's slowly using fear and violence to maintain that claim. The more threatened she feels, the more willing she becomes to control the people around her. Rhaenyra's argument with Baela shows how difficult it has become for her to accept criticism. Baela directly blames Rhaenyra for Corlys being captured and questions why the queen has not done more to find him. Instead of listening to her, Rhaenyra becomes angry and eventually grabs Baela's face while calling her an insolent child. This moment is important because Baela isn't an enemy. She's one of Rhaenyra's own supporters and someone who has fought for her. Yet Rhaenyra now treats disagreement as something that needs to be controlled. Her growing isolation is therefore not only caused by the war, it's also caused by her own behavior. She has people around her, but she is becoming less willing to trust them or hear criticism from them. Addam introduces himself as Corlys' oldest living son and named successor. This continues one of the show's biggest themes, legitimacy and bloodline. Corlys' sons have spent much of their lives being treated differently because of their birth. Now that Corlys is missing, Addam has to step forward and prove that he can lead House Velaryon. His position also shows that names and titles matter enormously in Westeros. Even when someone has the ability to lead, the nobles still care about whether that person has the right blood. This connects directly to Rhaenyra's own situation. Her claim has always been questioned because of the legitimacy of her children. The Velaryon storyline shows that these questions aren't just personal problems. They're political weapons that can affect entire families. One of the most important scenes in the episode is Rhaenyra's confrontation with Helaena. Rhaenyra wants Helaena to eat because she knows that the pregnancy could have serious political consequences. Helena's unborn child could become another possible heir for the Greens, which means Rhaenyra can't simply ignore the situation. Helaena refuses to cooperate and tells Rhaenyra that everything she cares about has become ugly. She even says that their father would hate what Rhaenyra has become. Rhaenyra then warns her to eat, or she will be forced to take action. When Helaena continues to refuse, soldiers hold her down and force food into her mouth. This is a major turning point for Rhaenyra. She's no longer simply protecting herself from political enemies. She's using her power against a woman who doesn't even want to fight her. Helena's suffering shows the human cost of Rhaenyra's need for control. Aemond's relationship with Alys continues to develop as both characters deal with isolation. Alys tells him about her past and explains how she became trapped in Harrenhal after losing her child and becoming connected to the strange forces surrounding the castle. Her story gives Harrenhal a deeper meaning. The castle has been destroyed and rebuilt, and different rulers have come and gone, but Alys remains there. She represents someone who has been trapped by the past for centuries. Aemond is also trapped by his past. He thinks that he killed Aegon, helped destroy his own family, and now fears that Helena's visions have already predicted his death. His relationship with Alys therefore becomes partly about finding someone who understands what it means to be alone. Aegon's arrival at Harrenhal changes the situation completely. Aemond believed that his brother was dead, only for Aegon to arrive with Sunfire. Aegon has lost much of his physical strength and has been humiliated throughout the season, but Sunfire's survival gives him another reason to keep fighting. The dragon is also important because its survival gives Aegon supporters something they can use as a symbol. They can claim that the gods protected their king. Aegon immediately begins planning his return. He wants to find Vhagar, destroy Tumbleton, and eventually retake King's Landing. The problem is that Aegon is still thinking like a king, even though his position has almost completely collapsed. The battle at Tumbleton shows how destructive the war has become. Ormond places children along the walls in an attempt to stop Rhaenyra's forces from attacking, instead of preventing violence. However, it only makes the situation more disturbing. Daemon eventually orders his dragon to burn through the city's gates. Once the dragon enters the battle, the fighting becomes almost impossible to control. Soldiers, civilians, and children are caught in the destruction. Ulf makes the situation even worse when he finally gets on his dragon and turns against the people who were supposed to be his allies. His decision shows how dangerous it is to give enormous power to people who are motivated by pride and personal rewards. The battle therefore becomes more than a military victory. It becomes an example of what happens when everyone believes their own cause justifies whatever violence they use. Daemon enters Tumbleton expecting to fight the High Towers, but after the destruction caused by the dragons, he sees mothers holding their dead children in the ashes. This moment is important because Daemon has always believed in using overwhelming force. He is usually comfortable with violence because he sees it as a way of achieving results quickly, but here, he's forced to see what that violence actually looks like from the perspective of ordinary people. The dead children also connect back to Rhaenyra's desire to be seen as the protector of the people. The Black Cause may have won control of Tumbleton, but the destruction makes it much harder to argue that this violence is protecting anyone. When Corlys finds Daemon, he tells him that Ulf has turned and that the town is lost. He wants to leave. This is another important difference between the two men. Corlys is thinking about survival and the future of his house, while Daemon is still focused on defeating the High Towers. Earlier, Corlys asked Daemon what he really wanted from the war, victory or a mountain of dead High Towers. Daemon's actions show that he has not completely separated those two things. While the battle is happening at Tumbleton, Rhaenyra takes another major step toward absolute power. She goes to the Great Sept because she wants the High Septon to officially recognize her rule. When he refuses, Rhaenyra has him killed. This is one of the clearest signs that Rhaenyra is changing. Earlier, she wanted legitimacy from the faith because she wanted the people to recognize her as their rightful queen. Now, when the faith refuses to give her that legitimacy, she simply removes the person who stands in her way. She then walks outside and presents herself to the people as their chosen ruler. She calls herself the shield of the people and even claims the title of the prince that was promised. This is propaganda. Rhaenyra is creating a powerful image of herself and asking the people to believe that her rule is supported by destiny. The irony is that her actions inside the Sept contradict the image she presents outside it. She claims to protect the people while becoming increasingly willing to use violence against anyone who challenges her. The episode ends with one of its most tragic moments. Rhaenyra returns to the Red Keep and discovers that Helaena has jumped from the window and died. Helaena has spent much of the season trying to stay away from the struggle for power. She doesn't want to be used as a political weapon, and she doesn't want her children to become pieces in the war. But she's never allowed to escape it. Rhaenyra's control over her, the pressure surrounding her pregnancy, the loss of her freedom, and everything that has happened to her family finally become too much. Her death also removes one of the few characters who consistently represented innocence and peace in the middle of the conflict. The embroidery Helaena leaves behind gives the ending another layer of meaning. One part of it shows Helena's own death, suggesting that she had already planned what was going to happen. Another section shows Rhaenyra sitting on the Iron Throne while dragons, fire, and suffering surround her. This image connects Rhaenyra's victory with destruction. Even if she eventually wins the throne, Helena's vision suggests that the path to that victory will be filled with death. Rhaenyra looks at the embroidery, throws it to the floor, and closes the window. This can be seen as her rejecting Helena's warning or simply refusing to face what it means. The window is also symbolic. Helaena used it to escape the world that had imprisoned her, while Rhaenyra closes it afterward. It almost feels like Rhaenyra is shutting away the truth along with Helena's body. Episode 8 shows that the war is no longer simply about deciding who should sit on the Iron Throne. It's changing everyone involved. Rhaenyra is becoming more ruthless because she believes strength is necessary to keep her crown. Daemon is discovering that his preferred method of solving problems can create suffering on a much larger scale. Aegon is trying to rebuild his power, while Aemond is looking for a new future with Alys because he has destroyed so much of his old one. Helena's death brings all of these themes together. She wanted no part in the struggle for power, yet she was still treated as a political tool by both sides. The episode ultimately suggests that winning the throne and being a good ruler aren't the same thing. Rhaenyra may be getting closer to victory, but the more power she gains, the more she risks becoming the kind of ruler she once opposed. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.